Welcome to another session of What the. Today's topic is our moment in time. In my opinion, in the historical existence of humanity in our bipedal, procreative, and I mean procreative in basically an intelligent design perspective in our history when we became architects and engineers and touched on all of our metallurgies and somewhat the holistic side of healing, possibly philosophical reasoning and so on. This moment in time right now, in 2018, is the best time to be alive in our entire existence. Just because of all the circumstances that we have, and I utilize the word circumstances, but all of our opportunities that we have with all the technologies and how we can readily communicate with one another at any point of time in the world, to where one man and one woman or vice versa can communicate with one another from around the world. So our communication is what is most essential to accomplish our perpetuating of humanity. Of course, I'm talking about procreative means and so on. And that brings up the circumstances of dating applications, websites, and so on. I sincerely hope that there is not a eugenic project that's currently taking place on the internet via website dating. Some websites have these criterias in which you answer a bunch of questions and so on and so forth. Some of the questions seem obtuse, some seem repetitive. I don't know if they determine these questions to be fine-tuning a person's personality and how their overall psyche may be conducive to getting into a relationship with someone that might fall into certain parameters. But the questions are really mundane, in my opinion, and cannot rightfully reflect a person in their entirety, and to somehow mix the psyches of two individuals based on questions, no, it doesn't work. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And then there's also a circumstance of, well, if you're around a person a lot, you can start to understand their presence and so on. Are they really who they are wanting to be, or are they accommodating your personality? So, when approaching the opposite sex, and I'm speaking strictly from a heterosexual perspective because I'm heterosexual, I always look at, okay, I'm going to talk about things and I am going to be somewhat sarcastic in my approach. Not demeaning or condescending, but agreeable with hesitation, if that's understood. To where if they possibly make a comment of, well, I think that, Hillary Clinton should have been president, or, so on and so forth. Then I'm like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. She was a very intelligent candidate, and under certain criteria, she possibly could have been president if the Electoral College wasn't in place, because she did win the popular vote. So it's agreeable. But it is agreeable to a certain extent where do I agree because she is a great leader? I like Hillary Clinton. I think she is a very intelligent person. But I'm agreeable to the circumstance of the presidency and the voting system. And she winning popular vote, obviously she was very popular in the United States. A lot of people wanted her to win. But the way that the Congress and legislature has, well, created a electoral college. President Trump is president, and I support President Trump. I think he is a intelligent person who is very covert. Any person who can create their own fake news and get it out to a mass populace, and then when the mass populace questions him about the fake news that was created, then he just calls it out. That's fake news. That's fake news. That's ingenious. So I appreciate that approach. So applying that approach is what I have said, fake news being sarcastic. It's truthful. It's truthful to a certain point of how can I find common ground with this person I approached? And I think that's the key. Finding common ground. But in essence, for me, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And for someone to tell me that my approach may be skewed in what I look for in a woman, well, I want to make sure a woman and, myself have a lot in common. And without speaking to one another. And that's the first things I look at. Are there women out there that I feel that can climb a mountain with me? Well, that's one of those first circumstances I look for in a woman. Can she climb a mountain? That's just simple hiking and so on. Although, can she pull herself up onto a rock? Or do I have to do most of the pulling? And if I have to do most of the pulling, well, I can only pull so much. And therefore, you understand the circumstances. Pushing, pulling, and so on and so forth. And that's only in a physical sense of athleticism. So, I would appreciate if people understood my perspectives on who I approach and why I approach the women I approach. So, and then people will say, oh, you're body shaming, or you're this, or you're that. It's like, no, I'm realistic. I'm realistic, and okay, if I enjoy these activities, I want that person to enjoy those activities with me. And how realistic is it for a person to enjoy those activities if they're not that physically conducive to enjoy those activities? So, that being said, yes, I enjoy the company of fit women. Fit women, they are so fun. They are the best companion. They are. They're fun. They like to do things. They laugh. They giggle. They keep things lighthearted. Love it. So, my question to those women that I might be, excuse me, cordial to, and polite, respectful, and they aren't that physicality that I can enjoy myself with, they easily become offended, and then they become mean and contradictory. Meanwhile, I'm trying to just be friendly and treat them as a colleague and create open lines of communication just in case opportunities for business might exist. So my question to those ladies is, what the, come on, let's be realistic. So thank you for participating with me in this, semi-joint discussion. I like to think that I somewhat represented the fairer sex in my explanation of who I find attractive and why. Another edition of What the? Thank you.